Hi, everyone. My name is Benjamin, and I'll be looking at my phone, but it's not because I'm browsing Twitter. It's just my notes. Oh, new tweets? No. So I'm going to tell you a little story. It might be a little long. I'll see how it goes. I just put slides together, and I have no idea which slides come next, so this is going to be interesting. Sanders told us about his rabbit hole, his like 9-month rabbit hole, right? And that was kind of impressive. So today I'd like to talk to you about my rabbit hole. It was just a 2-week rabbit hole, which maybe I have a slide? Yeah. So this was the goal. I'm the author of BSB Native, which for those who don't know is simply a fork of BSB, but compiles to native. And our goal with Avery, my roommate, who's the author of reprocessing, was to get BSB Native to work on Windows in one command install, because that's how BSB works. So it works on Windows. We were like, OK, let's get BSB Native. You know, how hard can it be? Well, there's a whole story. OK. So here's what we're thinking. Get a camel binary. Those exist. They work on Windows. Run it on BSB Native, bundle everything together, and then eat the cake. Obviously, it didn't happen that way. So we're running around Googling OCaml on Windows. All the tutorials say they're deprecated. Great. OK. So we choose the least deprecated one and run it. OK, so by the way, we knew nothing about Windows Dev. Right? We were totally new here. We have no idea what we're doing. Throughout this talk, I have no idea what I'm doing, by the way. So we download the pre-built compiler. We run it on BSB Native. OK, it doesn't work. Why does it not work? Well, because BSB comes with its own version of OCaml. Because they made little tweaks to OCaml, right? OCaml's vendored inside BSB, and so is BSB Native. OK, so we're like, great. We can't just take a binary of OCaml and run it on BSB Native. We actually have to compile OCaml, the vendored one, on Windows. Oh, yeah, awesome. OK, that's going to be easy, right? OK, we try it. Surprise, it doesn't work. We have in the epiphany. Yeah, that's right. We need to compile the vendored OCaml, bundle it, compiled with BSB Native. So here's a list of the stuff we figured we needed. Took us a really long time to put that list together. But we needed Unix env to compile OCaml on Windows. We need a bunch of Unix tools. For those who don't know, it's stuff like GCC and its libraries and stuff like that. You know, you take it for granted, but they don't come on Windows. And then we need a dynamic linker. And we'll call that guy you know, our dear friend, because I'll come back later. How hard can this be? Am I right? So let's see. Hard. It's pretty hard. This is the dark slides. We're in the dark zone here. So we're reading the tutorial, and it tells us, OK, you have to copy, paste some files. You can't just run configure and make. You have to do some stuff. We have to figure out our own compilation commands, because they don't work. There's bugs in makefile. So you know, you read the tutorial, run the same thing. It doesn't work. Great. That was fun. By the way, yeah, again, so we have no idea what we're doing. So what ends up happening is we run a command. It doesn't work. We come up with a theory as to why it doesn't work. We try to fix it. We're wrong. We go back to the top, come up with a new theory. And we do this for like a couple weeks, basically. OK, so I didn't have time to make more slides. I mean, there's a bunch more slides, but I'm going to talk a bit with this slide on. So after a really long time, we get OCaml to compile, bam, on Windows. Awesome. So we compile now using that, BSB Native. Does it work? No, because I didn't write BSB Native properly and made assumptions on like Linux path, for example. OK, we go around, fix all of that stuff inside BSB Native. OK, my note says, now it gets a bit fuzzy, because during that period of time, we were really focused on shipping as soon as possible. And in our heads, we're like, this is going to take a couple days max, right? So we're like 2 weeks in and going absolutely insane. And every weekend, we're like sitting down for like 6 hours straight. Well, 12 hours, but we take a little break to eat. And we're just completely like tearing our hair apart because we have no idea what's going on. So too long didn't read. We are able to compile BSB Native. It runs. OK, now perfect. We just zip everything, run it, unzip on another Windows machine, run it. Does it work? No. OK. Why does it not work? OK, there's two main issues. So we had everything built, right? It compiled everything and ran without an environment. Well, not without an environment. Because OCaml implicitly depends on GCC and static linker to be available, because it calls to the static linker automatically, and those are not available on Windows. But we really want it to just work on Windows. The other cool thing is the bytecode executable. When you compile the bytecode, the reason it can run like as an executable is that it has a hard-coded path that points to the interpreter. So when you boot up the bytecode, it looks at the interpreter and it calls the interpreter on itself and then runs. Great. So that means, that means we can't compile anything on one machine and then just zip it and then send it to another machine because it won't run. So that sucks. What's the next slide? Okay, let's tackle the first problem. That's the more interesting one. OCaml depends on GCC. Okay, what do? Well, we took all of GCC and its standard lib and bam, rendered it in BSP native. Okay, wait, this is a little spoiler. Okay, to spare you some gruesome details, we have to figure out how to tell OCaml, don't look globally for all those tools. They're right here. They're right next to you. So we go inside OCaml, read the OCaml code, find the file that has all the paths to the executables, replace all of those paths with pointers that are relative to OCaml itself. So OCaml knows okay, next to me is GCC, next to me is the linker. Compile everything. Great. Okay, so we compile OCaml, compile BSP native, zip everything, unzip on another machine. It doesn't work. Okay, why not? Well, this is our dear friend. So FlexDLL, honestly, I don't really know why OCaml depends on this, but it's a dynamic linker. It helps OCaml understand how to dynamically link or load dynamic libraries. It's just a dependency. The fun part about FlexDLL is it's written half in OCaml, half in C. And we need it to build OCaml. Okay? So it depends on OCaml, OCaml depends on it. So now starts a little dance of okay, we use a binary of FlexDLL to compile OCaml. Then we use the compile OCaml to compile FlexDLL from source, which we're modifying. And then we use that new FlexDLL to recompile OCaml again. Then we use OCaml to compile BSP native, zip, unzip, try, it doesn't work. We did this 200 times. Wait, it keeps scrolling up. So a lot of trial and error, but we figured out we can modify FlexDLL to append to the path such that we tell it we prepend to the path and say, well, look in this folder first for all the stuff that you will ever need. Do the little dance. And so at this point, we weren't doing the zipping, unzipping, compiling BSP native and everything because that was just too slow. So we had a little test set up. This is a great little deep dive into how insane we were going. So this weekend, right? We start the weekend. We're okay, we did all the changes to FlexDLL, and we run our little test. I think. Yeah. So right. So that's what we figured out. We have to append to the path, right, inside FlexDLL, so that FlexDLL knows about our local, GCC, linker, whatever it needs. Yeah. See, I forgot my slides. Little cycle, compile OCaml, FlexDLL source to OCaml, OCaml back. Anyway, so we had this test.js, right? All it does is it appends to path, right? And then, well, I guess calls OCaml or FlexDLL or whatever to check that that we're reading the path correctly or something like this. It gets a little bit fuzzy. FlexDLL basically waits for this variable to be filled up or something like this. So anyway, we had a little test that we run to check that we're sanely moving forward. And it doesn't work. And so we're spending the whole weekend running this test. And every time we make a change to FlexDLL, compile everything again, run our test, and it just doesn't work. And we're going completely insane. Monday morning, I'm walking around with my coffee. And then I'm oh, shit. I walk to the computer and look at it. Path on Unix is capital P, capital A, capital T, capital H. On Windows, it's path, path, path. This whole time, we had fixed it the first day, but our test was appending to path, all capital, so it didn't work. And I was oh my God, and hysterically laughing for hours. But fix the test to append to this path, everything works. So we undo like most of our work that weekend, and compile Flexstella, compile Camel. Now we're like, okay, we no need to run the test pass, compile BSB native, zip, unzip, compile a project. It compiles. So this is on another machine, right? We vendored everything, compile another project, it compiles. Are we done? No. Oh, wait, yeah, light slides. It compiles, we're so happy. Okay, it doesn't run. Remember, the bytecode executable has a hard-coded path. TLDR, it didn't run. It was pointing to the wrong OCaml run. We'll take away. Okay, so anyway, that was that problem 2 that I listed earlier, no surprise. So we go hack inside OCaml again to, instead of appending an absolute path that points to OCaml run, we put a relative path, so it kind of like checks, okay, OCaml is here, I know right next to me, /bin, OCaml run, perfect, and then we append that. Anyway, so it ends up working at the end. So what we had at the end was like 200 megabytes of all of OCaml and like most of Unix, like GCC, static libraries, headers, everything, and then like FlexDLL, and FlexDLL pointing to relative to all that stuff. But at the end, now you can go and npm install BSB native. We have everything zipped and precompiled. So you download a massive bundle, but then there's no compilation, it just works. So you can you can make games on Windows. Reprocessing works on Windows as well. Once we had done this, we could start porting reprocessing, which turned out to be easier than on Linux. So the takeaway is, now we have a really nice experience, but people don't realize how hard this was to set up. Because everyone was telling us, oh yeah, OCaml works on Windows, this works on Windows. And we're like, okay, well, we'll try it. And then it turns out it's really, really hard. So sometimes like good execution requires really dirty hacks under the hood. It'd be nice if we didn't have to do this. If you have suggestions, I'd love to hear them. But I don't know, I was okay with this. Second takeaway, don't be afraid. Sometimes you'll face a project, and we were kind of insane. We had no idea what we were doing. We were thinking, oh, it'll be easy. If we were thinking, well, it'll be hard, we would have never done it. If we knew how hard it would have been, we would have never done it. So we kind of thought, okay, we'll just get it done. And it took way longer than we thought, but we got it done. So don't be afraid of doing this kind of stuff. It's fun. Thanks for listening.